There's a quiet shift that happens after you scroll for a while. At first, it's harmless. A friend announces a promotion. Someone posts keys to a new house. Another shares a screenshot of their investment milestone. A luxury vacation. A perfectly staged home office. You tap like. You move on. But somewhere in the background, something recalibrates. Your own progress, which felt steady 5 minutes ago, suddenly feels smaller. Not because it changed, because your reference point did. Social media doesn't just show you lifestyles, it shows you milestones. And milestones are loud. They're polished, compressed, filtered into highlights. You see the closing day on the house. You don't see the years of saving, the debt attached to it, or the private stress. You see the investment account crossing 6 figures. You don't see the inheritance, the risk tolerance, or the months of anxiety during downturns. You see the celebration, not the context. And without context, your brain fills in the gaps, usually in the most self-critical way possible. Here's the part most people don't consciously realize. Your sense of financial progress is relative. You don't measure it in isolation. You measure it against what you're exposed to. If everyone around you seems to be advancing quickly, your own steady steps feel slow. If your feed is filled with entrepreneurs scaling businesses at 27, or couples buying homes at 30, your renting and budgeting at 31 can feel like delay. Even if you're doing exactly what you should be doing, your brain doesn't ask, "Am I improving?" It asks, "Am I ahead or behind?" This silent comparison happens fast. You don't sit there thinking, "I am now evaluating my net worth against this person's." It's automatic. Your brain evolved to monitor status within a group. In small communities, that comparison was limited. Now your group includes millions of people. Some are older. Some inherited wealth. Some live in different economies. Some show only their best days, but your nervous system doesn't adjust for that. It just registers positioning, and positioning affects emotion. There's also the issue of curated identity. Online, people share peaks, rarely plateaus, almost never setbacks. You don't see the rejected loan application. You don't see the credit card balance behind the travel photos. You don't see the quiet panic behind the investment screenshot. So when you compare your full reality bills, uncertainty, slow progress to someone else's highlight reel, it feels uneven, because it is. You're comparing your behind the scenes to their premiere night. And that distortion quietly shifts your expectations. Over time, unrealistic benchmarks form. You start to believe certain milestones should happen by certain ages. You internalize numbers, income targets, net worth goals, property ownership timelines, not because you calculated them for your life, because you absorbed them from exposure. And once absorbed, they feel personal. If you're not there yet, it feels like underperformance. Even if your circumstances are completely different, even if your priorities are different, exposure slowly becomes expectation. This distortion affects decision-making too. When you feel behind, you're more likely to rush. You might invest aggressively without fully understanding the risk. You might stretch your budget for a home you're not ready for. You might upgrade your lifestyle prematurely just to feel aligned with your peers. Not because it's rational, because comparison creates urgency, and urgency rarely leads to calm decisions. It leads to reactive ones. There's another subtle shift. Social media compresses time. You see someone's 10-year journey in a 10-second post. A "from broke to 6 figures" caption doesn't show the decade in between. It shows the before and after. So your brain starts expecting transformation to feel faster than it is. When your own progress feels incremental, it can feel stagnant. But wealth is usually incremental. Slow investing, gradual income growth, small debt reductions. None of it trends, but all of it compounds. The turning point isn't deleting every app. It's awareness. When you notice the emotional dip after scrolling, pause. Ask yourself, what exactly am I comparing right now? Is it income, lifestyle, speed? Then ask something more grounding. Do I actually want that? Or do I just feel pressure to want it? That question alone creates space. Because not every milestone you see is aligned with your values. Some are impressive, some are expensive, some are exhausting, and some are simply different. Practically, protecting your sense of financial progress means defining your own metrics. What does stability mean in your life? Is it 3 months of expenses saved? Low debt? Flexible work? Investing consistently? Even if the amount feels modest, if you don't define success for yourself, exposure will define it for you. And exposure is endless. You can't win a race with no finish line. It also helps to zoom out. Your feed updates daily. Your wealth builds over decades. Comparing daily snapshots to long-term goals creates unnecessary tension. A house purchase at 28 doesn't define a lifetime. A slower start at 30 doesn't limit 50. But when you scroll constantly, it feels urgent. Like everyone else is accelerating while you're paused. In reality, most people are moving at normal speeds. They're just highlighting their peaks. Here's the deeper truth. Financial progress is often invisible. Paying down debt quietly, automating investments, choosing not to overspend, building skills for higher income. None of these create dramatic posts, but they create real stability. The people who look the flashiest aren't always the most secure, and the most secure often look ordinary online. Because security isn't loud, it's steady. You don't have to reject ambition. It's healthy to want growth, but growth driven by alignment feels different than growth driven by comparison. When you build wealth based on your goals, it feels intentional. When you build it to keep up, it feels tense. That tension is your signal. Not that you're failing, but that your benchmark might not be yours. Social media isn't inherently harmful. It's a tool, but without awareness, it quietly rewires your sense of normal, and normal shapes satisfaction. If your expectations inflate faster than your progress, you'll always feel behind, even when you're moving forward. So protect your reference points. Limit exposure when it distorts your mood. Remind yourself that curated highlights are not full financial statements, and define enough on your own terms. Because financial progress isn't about how impressive it looks from the outside. It's about how stable it feels on the inside. And stability doesn't trend. It compounds, quietly, over time, far away from the scroll. If this helped you see money more clearly, that's what matters. Financial stability doesn't trend, it compounds. If you value calm, rational finance content like this, subscribe, like the video, and comment what enough means to you. Build wealth with clarity, not comparison. See you in the next one.